Welcome to the third video of this series on the new European Artificial Intelligence Act. In this video, we will analyze conformity assessment procedures established by the European Commission Act for AI systems of high risk. Conformity assessment procedures aim at minimizing the burden for economic operators in the field of AI, as well as for notified bodies. When AI systems are used as safety components of products which are subject to the norms contained in this act, for example, medical devices, they will have to be subject to the same ex ante and ex post compliance mechanisms of the products of which they are a component. Hence, they will be subject to two sets of requirements: the ones that are established by sectoral legislation and the ones that are established by the AI Act. Chapter 4 of Title 3 sets the procedure of how notified bodies will be involved as independent third parties in conformity assessment procedures. A difference has to be drawn here because there are two levels. First level is the one that deals with standalone AI systems. Standalone AI systems are referred to in Annex 3 to the Act, and the Act establishes a new compliance and enforcement system for them. The system works through a comprehensive ex ante internal conformity assessment by the providers that is conducted through internal checks, and this is combined with a strong ex post enforcement. Some of the reasons mentioned by the Commission to justify this choice are that the regulation is still at early stages and that the AI sector is still very innovative, and this entails that the expertise for auditing procedures is yet to be achieved. The conformity in this case will have to be fully documented and supported by robust quality and risk management systems and post-market monitoring. Afterwards, the provider will have to register the standalone high-risk AI system in a newly created EU database that will be administered by the Commission. Moving on to the second level, when AI systems are safety components of products, the conformity assessment will follow the third-party conformity assessment procedures that are already established under the relevant sectoral product safety legislation, as it is the case, for example, again with medical devices. So new ex ante reassessment of the conformity will be needed anytime there is a substantial modification to the AI system. Chapter 5 explains the conformity assessment procedures that have to be followed for each type of high-risk AI system. We can focus now on some specific articles. First of all, Article 30 regulates notifying authorities, where instead Article 31 deals with conformity assessment bodies. So, notifying authorities shall be designated or established by the single member state. And this authority is responsible for setting up and carrying out the procedures that are necessary for the assessment, designation, and notification of conformity assessment bodies and for their monitoring. They should not be in conflict of interest with conformity assessment bodies. Conformity assessment bodies will have to submit an application for notification to the notifying authority of the member state in which they are established. Now, the notification procedure is described in Article 32. Notifying authorities will notify conformity assessment bodies which fulfill the requirements that are set by Article 33 of the Act on notified bodies to the Commission and other member states. These requirements are manifold, and for example, they are independence, documented procedures, mandatory liability insurance, etc. Moving on now, Article 40 is titled Harmonized Standards, and it provides that where AI systems are in conformity with harmonized standards that have been published in the official journal of the EU, that they are presumed to be in compliance with the requirements that are set by the Act in Chapter 2. And this clause is better specified in Article 41, where it is outlined what to do when there is no overlap between Chapter 2 of the Act and the harmonized standards. Then Article 43 describes the procedures to be followed by the providers in case the harmonized standards are indeed applied. Now, Article 48 provides that a provider of each type of AI shall draw an EU declaration of conformity, which has to be at the disposal of the national competent authority for 10 years after the AI system has been placed in the market or put into service. Finally, the CE marking shall be affixed to the high-risk system. To conclude, the AI system needs to be registered in a special EU database which is regulated by Article 60. One last note that is relevant is regards regulatory sandboxes. So the article provides that it will be possible for member states or for the European Data Protection Supervisor to provide a controlled environment which facilitates the development, testing, and validation of innovative AI systems for a limited time before their placement into the market. And this is a measure that is meant as a way to support innovation. Article 54 specifically regulates the processing of personal data in an AI regulatory sandbox. This is a very important clause because it establishes that personal data that is processed lawfully for other purposes shall be processed for the purpose of developing and testing certain innovative AI in the sandbox. But certain conditions have to be fulfilled. First, the innovative AI systems shall be developed for the safeguard of public interest in specific areas, such as disease prevention, control, and treatment. Second, the data are necessary to comply with the requirements set by Chapter 2, and the purpose cannot be achieved by processing anonymized, synthetic, or other non-personal data. Third requirement, there must be effective mechanisms which identify whether risk for the fundamental rights of data subjects may arise during the sandbox experimentation. Fourth, the data processed in a sandbox must be separated by other sets of data and can be stored only for the duration of the participation in the sandbox and then for 1 year after its termination. Fifth, there must be a public short summary of the AI project which will be published on the website of competent authorities. This is all for today's videos. Thank you for your attention and I hope that you will see our next video.